What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 54 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they defeat the Seattle Kraken here tonight, 3-1, moving to on the season 33, 19, and 2. An interesting game because, I mean, maybe it just had something to do with the fact that the game started at 10 p.m. and I was personally exhausted. But, you open up with the first period. It looked pretty good. It's a good start on the road there. You came out the gates ready. You get up to a 2-0 lead. And then the second period was just like this weird lull where at times it would kind of go sleepy. And then all of a sudden Seattle would get a ton of chances and Stolarz would get you kind of back on track. He would calm everything down, make a couple of big saves, stop some things when maybe he shouldn't have, and then all of a sudden it would go sleepy again, and then it was like, okay, we're kind of fighting it here. We're battling for our lives. And then Matthew Knies gets a high-sticking goal that should not have counted, I don't think, at least. I just don't think they had a definitive angle because they called it a goal on the ice to open things up immediately, so then it's hard to overturn it, and then it's 3-0, and that's the game. This one finishes 3-1, and we'll break it all down here. Talk about Stolarz, get into a bunch of that stuff. But before we do, you guys know it. This is a presentation of Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N, all caps, NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. All right, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Let's address some things in the chat. Zack fell asleep. Nope, Zack did not fall asleep. I'm here. We're doing the show. We'll probably do a little bit of a shorter one, but also you sickos in the chat. Every single time here now, it's like later game, something's pushed back, something bigger is going on at the time. I'm like, oh, all these people, like, we're going to get a lower audience. We're not going to get that many people here. Tuesday night, game starts at 9. Show goes live at 12. Full of the same number of people. Here tonight, game starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Show is going live at 12:55 a.m. Full again, the exact same amount of people, if not more than there were to start the show on Tuesday night. So I appreciate all you sicko Leafs fans who continue to show up no matter what day it is, no matter what time the stream is at, all that kind of stuff. Thank you guys for showing up here. Maxentia says there as well, click like so he sniffs salts. Yeah, you want to get me going, you want to get fired up here a little bit on this like later, sleepier post-game show. Hit that like button. You get it to 50. We'll go and do smelling salts for every set of 50 likes. 50, 100, 150, whatever it may be. You get it there. We'll do the smelling salts, and we do have a new bottle here on the show as well. So thank you guys for liking, watching, commenting, asking questions. And on top of that, the other thing that I want to point out, never going to ever tell anybody you have to do anything, and I obviously will participate with the chat as it goes on here anyways. But if you want to make sure your question or your comment gets on the show, make sure to hit us with a super chat. You can either send it via just a super sticker and you can send that in, or if you want to send it in with a comment, a question, whatever it may be, you want those said on the show, you want them brought up on the show, your questions or your comments, you send a super chat in here. I will read all of them. I will answer the questions, whatever it is. And your super chats this season are going to an unbelievable partner, and that would be with the Sick Kids charity partner this season here on the show. Proceeds from our super chats are going to the Sick Kids charity. You get those in here and they go over there. The last show that we did, we hit $182 donated to Sick Kids. The show before that, because mind you, we missed the Saturday against the Oilers, on the Wednesday against Minnesota, we did 200, I think it was $225 donated. So, just awesome work from you guys here in the chat who continue to send in your super chats, continue to donate and get those into the Sick Kids charity. It is an awesome initiative that we have, whether it's on the After Dark or if it's on the Leafs Morning Take show. Regardless, whether it is, who you're sending the money to, what show, time of day, it does not matter. Proceeds are going to Sick Kids charity, and it could not be going to a better spot. So hit that like button, get your super chats in. Let's get on with it. Let's get to the show. Let's start with this. a goal from a defenseman, and probably not the defenseman you would be expecting to be getting on the board. Philippe Myers opens the scoring here tonight, and honestly, it was kind of one of those ones where it was like you're just happy that anybody got it, because at that point in time, the Leafs had been basically carrying the play and taking it to this Seattle team here tonight, who looked like they were the team that was kind of surprised by the start of the game and kind of looking around going, how the hell did we get here? Like, why are we playing at 10 p.m.? And it was like, well, that's your normal start time. The Leafs looked like they came out of the gates ready. They were ready to go. They started on time for the puck drop of this one. And then they were bringing it to the Kraken. You know, it was chance after chance, whether it was Matthews or Nylander, who, by the way, we'll get into tonight, was playing really well, but just every time he got within that radius around the net where it was like kind of the home plate area, maybe a little bit tighter, it felt like the puck was just hopping off his stick. He was slightly disconnected, but regardless, those two lines, the top six, Bobby, McMann, they opened the game looking really dangerous. No one's able to bury. Then it's that Tavares line. Tavares gets in just inside the blue line, hits a stop up, passes it back to Myers as everyone kind of barrels past them in the zone and just continues down low. Stops up, hits Myers back, who hits a one-timer in, and it's a knuckle puck that's heading towards the net. It ends up hitting off of Matty Beniers. Yeah, Matty Beniers. That first goal feels like it was like 4 or 5 hours ago. Like, I can't even. It hits off Matty Beniers, goes into the back of the net past Joey Decord, who like had basically no chance on that one because it's redirected and it was a knuckle puck to begin with. It ends up going in. I mean, you gotta just take into consideration the fact that putting pucks on net has a positive outcome. I talked about this on Tuesday night against the Calgary Flames. You look at the power play. Pucks go back to the point. Guys shoot the puck through. You look at the kind of the wings and the flanks that they're playing on the power play there as well. They shoot the puck. It's either getting tipped or rebounds are popping out. Guys are finding ways to bury. Like, anytime those situations are coming up, though, you're finding ways to create traffic in front, create a mess, muck and grind, and put the puck in the back of the net. I know it sounds simple and stupid, and you're saying, no shit, Zack, we know this, we've heard about this. Yeah, I get it. These are basic concepts. They are. But these are things that this team had like forgotten about or gotten away from. And one of the things where, yeah, defensively, you'd like them to be contributing more and getting on the board more and scoring. Not happening unless you shoot the puck. And there you go. Philippe Myers takes a shot. It hits off of a Seattle player and goes in. Unlucky for Seattle, lucky for the Leafs, but it's the right process in mind by Philippe Myers to shoot the puck and have that thing bounce in. Then on top of that, I mean, it's later on and it's a goal that shouldn't have counted, but you're doing the right things. Puck goes back to Jake McCabe. He takes a shot. Matthew Nyes high sticks that thing, in my opinion. I mean, Seattle got screwed. They got the raw end of that one, but I think he high sticked it. I do understand the concept of, there's no definitive replay and the call on the ice was a good goal. Like, they determined it was a good goal in real time. None of the refs came in and said, hey, this one wasn't. That to me was a high stick. Matthew Nyes' stick was like at shoulder height, if not above. And I'm not trying to like rip on the Leafs or anything like that in this. And I think for the refs, like, it's hard to call in real time because you're watching it in real speed. You're watching it fast. You're watching it with bodies around as well. You're not entirely sure. And it wasn't like definitively a high stick when that puck was coming through. But his stick was like shoulder height, if not higher. He's a big dude. And you're talking about, it's got to be crossbar. Crossbar, not shoulders. Crossbar. And as it's up, he's coming down with it. It looked like that thing was high. Joey Decord, whose head is probably at crossbar height, is immediately saying high stick. And I don't blame him. I feel like that one probably was. Maybe we got to get like better camera angles or whatever, but I think that one was a high stick. Maxentius, there are no side angles. no side angles. That's very true. No side angles. And I see 6 1/3 high camera angle lens affects good goal, hit the shaft. Don't think it did. Pretty sure that one hit off his blade. And oh, by the way, if you ever want like a pretty clear tell as to whether or not something did happen, Matthew Nyes immediately was like, oh, wasn't me, didn't touch it. Because he probably knew that one was high. Regardless, I think that they need better camera angles. I think Seattle got screwed on that one. You take it. But the point of this is that it's Jake McCabe who shoots a puck from the point. It's a puck that gets through, gets deflected in. At that point, it's 2 goals that are coming off of defensemen taking shots from the point and allowing these things to happen like that. Where, screens can happen. Goalie doesn't see something clear. It can get deflected. It can get hit in. It can get a rebound that pops out and someone else is able to bury it. All that kind of stuff is generated from your defenseman taking shots, which is something they hadn't been previously. This is also a solid win here tonight for this team because it comes off of a couple Senators losses. Sens lose to the Lightning in regulation there, back to back. You get 2 wins. Obviously, you won against the Oilers on Saturday, but I'm talking about Tuesday and Thursday here. You get both of those wins under your belt at the same time that the Sens get those losses. Creates a bigger gap here yet again. You roll through the Western Conference. You got one more game here until you get to the Four Nations break, and it's against the Canucks on Saturday night. And hopefully you can put an end to this. The Canucks just kind of taking it to you and getting up for it. Find a way to close this out. Go into Four Nations strong here. But three consecutive wins here now following the 3 consecutive losses. And I would much prefer to see this team going into the Four Nations break with 4 straight wins rather than like these flip-flops of 3, 3, 3, and then 1 loss, and then you go into the break. Get in there with a solid win on Saturday night against Vancouver to build off of what you've already done over the last 3, and it'll be a much more comfortable break that you take when you fly away to Cabo or the Dominican or wherever the hell it is that these guys are headed to. Get out of town with 4 straight wins. Let's get to one of the biggest stories of tonight here. There's a couple with like lineup stuff that I want to dig into, but the biggest one would obviously be also quickly, one final note. We talked about the Myers goal and the defenseman shooting the puck. Philippe Myers has been actually pretty decent in his appearances. He kind of just like fades off and feels like he gets comfortable, maybe is the right way to put it, and then gets pulled out, and it's Benoit and it's Timmins rotating through those spots. Timmins comes out. Myers steps in. I thought he made the most of his minutes. I thought that Myers stepped into this game here tonight. He didn't try to do too much. He had a couple of opportunities to score. He does bury on the one in the first period there. But this is a guy who could develop some trust with his coaching staff if he can find some consistency in his game. They made it very clear earlier on in the season that he was a guy that they felt was going to be a piece of this team, probably had some higher potential than what a lot of us were even realizing at that point and kind of figuring was out there and what he might have been capable of because we hadn't really been exposed to him too much. Dealt with a lot of injuries earlier on in his career, bounced around a little bit, couldn't really get a grip, whether it was in the NHL level or with the kind of sticking around AHL, like he was going up and down, going around from different spots. And all of a sudden, he finds himself here in Toronto. He finds himself getting this opportunity. And immediately, it's like Tree Living likes him. Berube seems to kind of like him a little bit there. Obviously, you want to be able to trust him a bit more, and you're rotating him in and out of the lineup. But if he can find a way to play like he did here tonight, where he's creating things offensively, he looks a little bit dangerous. He is a tough guy. He plays a physical game. I don't know why this guy couldn't be like a mainstay in your bottom pair. And, we keep having these discussions about who you go out and get, who do you go out and acquire. Well, one thing that I do think would be beneficial to all of this is if you go out and you do find if you go out and you go find a guy to play with Morgan Rielly. Sorry, I just got distracted. I saw Leafs Jelly HD in the chat there. Very cool. Shout out to Leafs Jelly HD. Does an unbelievable job with the post-game stuff that he does with putting together all the videos and the highlights and putting together the Joe Bowen packages of him and Jim Ralph commentating over top of the Leafs game. So this channel that I've been like viewing clips and content from for basically like since I became a Leafs fan. I got legit distracted. I saw Leafs Jelly and I saw Robert Smith point out that he was in the chat, and I was like, that's not true, but he is. So shout out to Leafs Jelly HD. Yes, we're battling through this one here tonight. Back to the Myers point, which I was trying to make a quick point, and then I end up going off this ridiculous tangent that probably makes no sense. Anyways, point is with Myers, jumping in and creating offense, he was very much involved in the play. He was very much, getting shots on net. He was hitting guys. If he can kind of do that and just not do too much, simplify his play, then I think the ideal spot for you to get to is OEL going down to your bottom pair and you're finding someone to play with Rielly. And I know we hate this conversation about who goes and plays with Morgan Rielly and how do you get the guy that goes in there to go alongside of him when he is a $7.5 million man. It's like, oh my God, are we doing this again? The point is, though, OEL won a cup in Florida playing in a bottom pair. If you can get him down to a bottom pair and find him a partner, like maybe a solid Fleet Myers or rotation of Myers and Benoit, whatever it may be, I think you put yourself in a much better spot. Like, you need depth guys. You need extra guys. You're probably not going to go with the same six an entire Stanley Cup run. You have to have other pieces who could fill in if a guy stops playing well or guys get injured, because these things happen, especially on a long cup run. So prepping yourself for that, maybe being able to get OEL down and being able to trust Fleet Myers a bit more, guy who can play big, physical, penalty kill, and suddenly all of a sudden, like, just create some offense out of nowhere. Yeah, you probably put yourself in a much better position heading towards the trade deadline, and maybe he can get himself in the good graces of the team and the organization to the extent that they say, wow, we're not desperate for a bottom pair guy now. We can find a guy for Rielly, and that's kind of it. All right, the other points that I wanted to make of some of the other stories. So let's first go to this one. Very clear, and I'm saving the biggest story for in a little bit. I'm seeing everyone giving Leafs Jelly props as he deserves there. Or they deserve, sorry, in the chat. We saw Mitch Marner return back to the lineup here tonight, and I was very interested. I did the game preview, and I was really interested in how they might build these lines tonight, because the automatic thing that we see from this group and coaching staff in years past, and even to an extent this year, was Matthews goes out, Matthews comes back, put him with Marner. Marner's out, Marner comes back, put him with Matthews. And I'm like, okay, it's not that I think that Domi and Matthews were exceptional on Tuesday night. In fact, I think that they were just fine. Like, I wouldn't even go as far to say, oh, they were really good. I think that they were just fine. I was really curious to see how they were going to put this together here tonight, because Nylander had a really good game. You had to rotate through a combination of Pacioretty and McMann into that line on the second line with Tavares and Nylander, but Nylander gets his second career hat trick. JT looked pretty engaged. He scores on the power play. I'm like, okay, I wonder if there's still going to be a push here to put Domi on that first line with Matthews in an effort to get him going. And they stuck with that here tonight, which I was a little bit surprised by. I think you got to keep it going on Saturday against Vancouver. And here's why. This is kind of the anti-conversation of what I just had like 5 minutes ago about how you want to win this game on Saturday and go into the break feeling good. Try Domi on Saturday night. If it doesn't work, you come back from the break and you say, forget it. And you move on and you go back to Marner being there and we forget it ever happened and Domi didn't work and we just keep it going. I thought Domi looked pretty decent here tonight offensively, or like production-wise of what you got. out of that line. It's not like we're looking at the board going, thank God the boys got it done. You got an assist from Domi, you get an assist from Matthews, and like those are obviously positives from the night. But it wasn't like I was like staring at this one like finally we have an outburst. Finally Domi was going nuts here tonight, and that was all these things building into it where it's like we have to keep them together. That's not really where I'm at with that line sticking together, but I think you just have to leave it. Give them another opportunity on Saturday night and give Domi one more chance there with that line to maybe have another explosion or get another couple of points under his belt before going into the break. Like, if you pull him off of that line and you put a guy like Marner back into it to play with Matthews before you go into this big break, it's just like, it doesn't do much for me of giving guys opportunities and testing things out, which I know it's the NHL and it's the regular season, and that's not like the biggest deal ever, but who cares? Like, it's just like one final game, if you know what I'm saying. You want to win it, but it's also one final game. Try it, see if you can give Domi a spark, see if you can keep him going and build off of what you did tonight, because Tuesday, I thought they were fine. Thursday here tonight against the Kraken, I thought that they were kind of even better, but still not great. Let's see what we can get out of them on Saturday night against the Canucks. We got a few super chats here, so I want to get to those as we are continuing to build up to 50 likes here on the stream. And by the way, not only 50 likes on the stream, almost 200 people watching. I know I'm in this with you guys because I'm here doing this, but you guys are fucking nuts. Like, it's 1:15 a.m. I saw some of you guys are in here watching from like Newfoundland. You guys are in other countries across overseas. I know, so I guess maybe it's early morning for some of you. Shout out to all the Leafs fans who are watching here right now, because it is super late or super early, however you want to look at it, and you're still continuing to show up to the Leafs Nation After Dark. For some of you, it's not even After Dark. At this point, it's Leafs Nation first thing in the morning, and I appreciate all the support from you guys, so thank you. Thanks for hitting that like button. We got some super chats. Before we get to those, we did hit 50 likes, and we hit this pretty fast given what time of night it is here. Thanks for watching. We hit 50 likes. You get to 100, we'll do them again, but let's get to 100 here. Thanks for watching. Here's the smelling salts. 50 likes. Oh. All right, there you go. We get to 100, we'll do them again. Let's get to our super chat. And remember, the super chats here on the show, proceeds go to Sick Kids Charity. What better reason to send a super chat than that? All right, first super chat here comes from none other than the legend herself. Still didn't put an emoji on this one, so I don't know. Maybe just admitting at this point, but Tammy says, Stolarz power is back on. Let's go, buds. There was like 6 O's in there in the let's go, buds. So thank you, Tammy, for the super chat. Yeah. That was the other story that I wanted to get to, and I was kind of saving. So we'll jump into this now. And I see there's other questions and other super chats, so I'm going to dig into that. But the Stolarz return was something, concern is the wrong word. Anxiousness maybe is the right way to put it. Part of why I felt that way was because Joseph Woll played so well in his absence. Now, mind you, the idea of Matt Murray and Dennis Hildeby was basically scaring the shit out of me. And like, I feel like Dennis Hildeby will be a good goaltender at some point here and will be an NHL goaltender relatively soon. Right now, just not a guy you want to be relying on. But point is, Joseph Woll had been playing so well, and I'm looking at it like, okay, I wonder if in the back of Stolar's mind, there might be some concern of, I have to get in there. I have to get in net. I have to show what I can do here now. Whether it was because he doesn't want to lose this net to Joseph Woll, and it's the competitor in him, or if it's like I got to get back there and help this dude because he's got to play every goddamn game. But there was part of me that was like, okay, just making sure he's going to be okay in this return because, as we just mentioned, you want to win the games going into the break. And then I also mentioned you want to give Domi the shot again on Saturday night to keep building off of what he did tonight and give him some confidence and all that stuff. There is kind of the other aspect of this with Anthony Stolarz where you look at it and you kind of think to yourself, what if you just give him another couple days break because it's Thursday break, Saturday break, and then it's Four Nations break. Then he can return from the Four Nations and come back and everything's all comfortable and happy and you're good. And like, I'm very aware that when I say all that and I talk to you guys about this right now, I'm being overly precautious. Like way, way too much, way more than you need to be when it comes to some of these. That said, this Leafs team has had a history of nightmares when it comes to goaltenders and injuries and health. If you could just say, hey, forget it, we'll get you to like 110% health, then I think you go there. So there was concern from me. So I'm giving you this to give you the preface of what I felt going into the game. There was some concern when it came to that. I was looking at it being like, okay, don't rush them. Let's not force this if you don't have to. Like, I'm sure Woll and someone like Murray or Hildeby can find their way into this lineup and just figure it out. Stolarz comes back, plays this game. Let me tell you right now, if it's not for Anthony Stolarz and the way that he played here tonight, this thing, we might have been having a different postgame show. I think the Leafs deserve all the credit in the world for going into this game on a long road trip here now. You're traveling across Western Canada. Like you start and you're just hitting all the spots as you make your way further and further out. And then you're going to come back and you're going to play Vancouver on Saturday. Like this is a long trip that you're on before you head out to head out for the Four Nations break. But there was a period there. Actually, not even a period of time. I was going to say a period of time. Not even a period of time. There was a full-blown period, the second period, where if it's not for Anthony Stolarz, this thing could have gotten out of control. It could have been a tie game, could have been Seattle taking a lead at that point. Who the hell knows how far it could have gone if Anthony Stolarz was not on his game. He was making save after save after save. He was making big-time saves. He was making highlight reel saves. And one of the most important things that I thought, and I'm not a goalie expert, I mean, you guys know that. We all know that. Well, that's why we get Carter on here, because then he's that can at least be like the intelligent one talking about this. I'm just basically throwing bullshit at you guys and seeing what sticks. But point is, with Stolarz, I've said point is way too many times tonight. Gonna ban that from the vocabulary rest of the show. With Stolarz here, he looked comfortable. He looked athletic. He looked like he was moving well. He was moving with the pace of play. And those are all positives to me in his return. He was tracking the puck well. He was making good saves. He wasn't launching out massive rebounds. He was moving laterally well. He was competing for pucks. He was very aggressive when it came to moving around in his crease and fighting through screens and stuff. Like, he looked like he had not missed a beat. He was just right in there, like he never missed a single game, and you would have never known that that was a guy, other than the fact that they said it 10 billion times during the game, which, I mean, rightfully so, but you would have never known that that was a guy who had just missed 8 weeks or whatever it was there without game action because he had a pebble in his knee. He, as 6 1/3 says, was locked in. He moved well. And he was a stud. Like a legitimate stud for this team tonight. .963 save percentage. Makes 26 saves on 27 shots. The one goal that scored, it's just like, you're at the point of the game where a guy gets a beautiful shot through off a screen, which arguably could have been interference. I mean, we are all haunted by Justin Hall setting the pick in the Tampa series and getting called for interference. Hayden Fleury, like, it's a beautiful breakout pass from Seattle from their own zone, stretch pass out to Tolvanen in the neutral zone. Hayden Fleury skates straight through, right into Benoit, like doesn't hit him or anything, but he skates right into Benoit, pushes him back down. It's a brilliant play by Fleury. Like, there's kudos to him for having the wherewithal to do that. He just skates straight into him and just keeps going like he's driving down towards the net. Basically takes him out of the play while also creating a screen through to Stolarz and allows Tolvanen to get to the top of the circle, get across, and rip a disgusting shot past Stolarz, bar down. Can't be mad at the shot. Can't be mad at the play by the Kraken. I think debatably could have been an interference based on what we've seen as Leafs fans in the history of this. But awesome night by Stolarz. The goal that gets scored, I don't even care. It is what it is. We got more super chats. Swagger was insane. That's a good way to put it there by Leafs Jelly in the chat. Keep liking the stream. Let's get it to 100 likes here. We'll do the smelling salts again. We did it once. We'll do it again. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm battling sickness. Been battling for a couple of days. We're fighting through this thing. I've had like 4 or 5 coffees today. I had a tea. I had all of this water 3 times. Like, we're pushing pace to get through this. Let's get more smelling salts going here. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get to our next super chat. All right, next super chat. Michael says, do you agree Mitch can be a great player but might not be a fit for the team? If you're the GM, will you sign him now or after the playoffs? Michael, thank you for the super chat. Not doing the Mitch conversation here tonight. Thank you for the super chat. What I will say, and I will leave it at this, is people can be mad about this if they want. I get it, whatever. Maybe it's controversial, maybe it's not. It's not that I don't think you bring Mitch Marner back. You figure it out, but you don't do it during the season. All my thought is on it is that if you bring Mitch back during the season, it's just like locking yourself into what you think can be a successful formula and not necessarily what is. What if you lose in the first round again and you signed him before that and you wanted to make changes? Now it's really, really hard to. That's all I'm going to say there. It's not that I don't think you should bring him back. I just don't think you need to rush it and sign an extension before the end of the season. We got another super chat here. Was at the game tonight, and it was my first Maple Leafs and first hockey game. Thanks. Enjoyed listening and learning. Thanks for what you were doing. Enjoyed listening and learning. Thank you, Valkyrie. Appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed the game here tonight. It was a pretty good win from this Leafs team too. Like, go on the road, find a way to get through that one. It's kind of a grimy muck and grind one there, and you just kind of battle your way out of it. You open it up, you score 2 in the first period, you get off on the right foot. That second period, the other thing too, which like I want to just point out and give the team credit for here tonight is, yeah, that second period was not pretty. Like, I think Seattle for the most part outplayed the Leafs in the second period. The thing for me though is that even if that was the case, you set yourself up nicely for the first period. Like, you scored 2 in the first on the road. You were up 2-0. That's the perfect way to start a road game. It's a long road trip. Maybe your body clock's still not adjusted over. You played 5 o'clock on Saturday against the Oilers. Would that have adjusted body clock? Maybe not. Then you play Tuesday against Calgary. That's a 9 p.m. game. Then you play today. It's 10. Like, you're climbing across times of when you're playing, what time of day you're playing. You're dealing with the travel, which, yeah, you're on private jets and all that stuff, but you're on planes. You're in and out of hotels. You're away from home. You're away from your families. Like, these things can affect you. You go into Seattle. You say, forget it. We're getting this done. Like, we're finding a way to get a win here tonight. You came out ready to go. Second period, sloppy. Stolarz, out of his goddamn mind. Third period, let's get out here. Like, let's tidy this thing up, and let's move on with our lives and get a win tonight. It's a positive, it's a nice positive feeling to walk away with this win. And, I mean, even looking at the deserve to win meter, 76.8% in favor of the Maple Leafs. I think that's fair. And that's including an ugly second period that I think, again, for the most part, felt like Seattle was generating the most chances in that second period there. Felt like, for the most part, they were kind of carrying that play. You get the goal that I still stand by, the fact that I don't think it should have counted, but again, no definitive angles to say otherwise, so we take it and we move on. But you pretty much carried the play tonight. You took it to Seattle and said, we're going to win this thing, and that's what you did. Like, it's a really good hockey game by this Leafs team. Yeah, it's not a very good Seattle team, but you can only play the opponent that gets put in front of you. Tonight it was the Seattle Kraken. Tonight you found a way to win. And I don't really think they played down to Seattle's level that much. Yeah, second period, sure, you got lost in it a little bit. You got out. You deserve credit for that. Super chat here. Michael says, maybe I am wrong. However, to me, paying 4 forwards over $47 million, their offensive power isn't lethal enough. Not the tic-tac-toe chemistry. Michael, again, thank you for the super chat. All I'm going to say to this one, very similar answer as to what I just had. I'm not going to kind of do the whole contract and everything discussion here tonight, especially on the later, shorter show that we're going to try to kind of clean up and wrap up here, as we are now at 40 minutes in. We're at 200 people watching here still, so thanks to everyone watching. Like the stream if you haven't yet. Send your super chats in if you'd like to do so. And if we get to 100 here, I mean, honestly, you know what? If we get to $100 donated, no, that's dangerous. If we get to 150 likes and $150 donated, I'll just stream all night. Like, we'll just stream right until the morning show. That's what we'll do. But you got to get those in. 150 likes and $150 in super chats donated. That's what I'll say. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll put the challenge out there anyways. I'll do some dumb stuff. Anyways, point is, Michael, not doing the contract stuff. I just don't think it makes sense to get into that here right now. I mean, evaluate it in the offseason. Don't evaluate it right now. There's no need to go out here and force it and push yourself beyond belief to get this contract signed with Marner or JT. And it's not that you don't want the guys back, but it's just like, let's see how this season plays out. Let's see how everything ends up going here. And like, let's pump brakes and like, let's let this happen. Let's let it play out as it is. So no need to jump in here and go absolutely nuts. Like, let them do their thing. They also won 3 straight here now. 33-19-2 on the season. Let's be happy about the win. 150 likes and $150 donated in super chats. We'll stream all night. By the way, the Leafs are a point back of the Florida Panthers in the Atlantic. What else do we got here? Let's talk about Bobby McMann quickly. But before we talk about Bobby McMann, actually, let's go to this. And then we'll come back and talk about Bobby McMann. March 20th to 23rd, Nashville. the Nation Vacation, myself, Jay Rosehill, Nick Alberga, Carter Hutton, the boys will all be down there in Nashville, winery tour, live podcast, going to Hutz's bar there, Love and Exile Wine Bar, going to a Preds Leafs game. It's going to be an unbelievable experience. Nation Vacation, the first ever Leafs Nation Vacation, taking place down in Nashville there. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca, whether you're looking for flight packages, non-flight packages. It's going to be a trip you don't want to miss, whether it's the experiences of the podcast and all that kind of stuff, or if it's just to go to the game or hang out with the boys, or if you don't care at all and you just want to go down on a trip and you don't want to see us, talk to us, whatever, you just want to go to a game and that's it, that's cool too. But make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca so you don't miss out on your chance to join us for this unbelievable experience down in Nashville, March 20th to 23rd, nationgear.ca. There you go. I don't know what to do about that animation. It is what it is. Anyways, back to it. Let's talk about Bobby McMann here. Bobby McMann has been an absolute weapon. I mean, you're looking at a guy here right now who was healthy scratched in game 1 of the season, had basically barely found his way into the lineup last year and was about to be scratched the one night, gets called up because John Tavares gets sick. He has to play in the lineup, scores a hat trick that night, and then basically parlays that into turning into a guy that can be reliable, getting a contract extension, comes in, Berube, not quite trusting him yet. And then after that game, he says to Berube, via action, not words, I'll show you why you made a mistake scratching me. And I'll show you why you're never going to scratch me again. From that point on, Bobby has been a guy that you could rely on in late game situations, up a goal, down a goal. He's been a guy that you could put on power plays, whether it's the first or the second unit, which we've seen him do at times. He can kill penalties. He can go out there and play defensively reliable style of game. He blocks shots. He plays physical. I mean, you look at that play by Nick Robertson tonight where he goes in on the breakaway. Yeah, we could all pinpoint Nick Robertson doesn't score the goal. Nick Robertson bobbles the puck. But, I mean, you're looking at Bobby McMann following the play up, driving to the net, going in there hard, and causing a scrum, being a part of that, not shying away from anybody. Like, this is a guy who now has 17 goals on the season, is on pace to score over, about 25 goals this year here now. And he basically went from a healthy scratch in game 1 to one of the most trustworthy players in this lineup, a guy who can fit in any role, any spot, any line, any position. It does not matter who he's with or where he's playing. Bobby McMann is a guy that you can put basically 100% faith into every time he steps on the ice. He plays within his game. He just figures out a way to adapt it to whoever the opponent is. I mean, he is a guy who's able to contribute offensively. He's a guy who's able to capitalize offensively if it's the guys around him who are creating those opportunities for him there. He's a guy who is, very trustworthy in terms of getting the puck out of the zone and moving in transition. He's got great wheels. I could sit here and fawn over Bobby McMann all day, which is something I would do if it wasn't 1:40 a.m. doing this post-game show, but there's not enough good things I can say about the guy, honestly. It's just a commitment to playing a team style of game, commitment to being responsible, and also having an offensive impact on the game that is just unfound at this point. You've not found guys to play in your bottom 6 like this in the Matthews era, I don't think. You can tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm willing to hear it, but Bobby McMann has been exceptional this year, and he's the type of guy that you look at during a playoff series, after a playoff series, and you go, holy fuck, that guy was a difference maker. That guy fit the role of a Nick Paul or Brandon Hagel in years past. That guy fits the role of Evan Rodriguez or Nick Bonino and the Penguins teams. Because he's a guy that you could rely on up and down the lineup at any time. And he's a guy who can create things for his line, which is no disrespect to Cal Yarncroke or Ilya Mikheyev or Alex Kerfoot, but not things that those guys were doing previously. And it is unbelievable to have. Let me just talk quickly about the Robertson thing. I brought it up there during the Bobby McMann conversation. He's trying. He's given a lot of effort. He is playing more physical. He's willing to buy into that. His defensive side of his game is improving. He can't score, man. I don't know if he's lost his touch. I don't know if he's gripping his stick too tight. I don't know if maybe he just can't score at the NHL level. But he is mightily struggling to score or create anything on any type of consistent basis. And I wonder if it's one of those ones where as you approach the deadline, he just looks around and is like, get me somewhere else. Because I just need a clean slate. And I wouldn't blame him. And I think he's a really good player. And part of me is just kind of starting to feel bad because it feels like his development as a player has been significant and his maturity of like, okay, here's what I've got to do to make sure I at least stay in the lineup. But like right now for me, he's just kind of getting by and staying in the lineup. And if you start to look at guys getting healthy, Yarncroke, or you're looking to make trades and we're hearing names like Brandon Tanev and, Yanni Gorder out there, Brock Nelson, Braden Shen pops up is out there. Dylan Cousins is guys that apparently the Leafs are in on. You look at all these guys, look up and down the lineup right now. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, they're not going anywhere. Nye's not going anywhere. I'm interested to see what they do with trying to figure out what that second line left wing will be. Is it McMann? Is it Pacioretty? Is it Marner, Nylander, Tavares as your second line? Is it Domi up on the first line? But then as you go down to your third line, okay, now you've got McMann. I think Domi, no matter what, is still a part of this team as you go into the playoffs. He's not a guy that gets shipped out. You kind of start to pick off some of the spots. Like Lorentz is here. Kampf's going to be here. Where do some of these guys fit in? We all think Holmberg's a guy who gets out of this lineup and does so quickly. I listened to the morning show or heard Rosie talk about it. It kind of starts to do process of elimination. The other guys you have left who would likely start to get bumped out here, it's Reeves, it's Nick Robertson, it's Holmberg. Those are the guys that you start to see and go, okay, they probably drop down, especially if you go out and acquire other talent. At that point, I wouldn't be surprised if we're kind of seeing near the end of Nick Robertson's time here in Toronto. Connor Dewar is here as well, right? And like, genuinely, I have nothing against the guy. I do think he's a really good player. Don't think it's just working for him in Toronto, and I feel like some of that probably weighs on him as well. And it's like, I know people keep saying, look at the chances, look at the chances. My only pushback is, at some point, the guy might just be sitting there going like, fuck this. And I get it. Like, honestly, I'll tell you, sorry. And I did get through it all myself, but I mean, you can't get traded in it. It was like, had gone basically my entire time leading up to midget. I was a guy who could score goals, could do that. Going to first year midget, and I could not find a way to buy a goal. Was getting assists, was killing penalties, was still playing on the power play, but it was like hitting posts, crossbars, stick breaking on shots, like getting robbed by goalies, and I'm just sitting there like, I can't believe that this is happening. Finally broke through, but until that point, it was like I don't even know what to do or how to do this, fix this anymore. Like, I'm out of options. I'm out of resources here. And I wonder if Nick Robertson kind of looks around and goes, this hasn't been, 3 months of me, 4 months of me struggling to score and score consistently. This has been like my entire time in Toronto, and maybe I just got to go somewhere else. And when you look at guys returning from injury and then potentially looking to go out and acquire and add, maybe that's when he starts to get to like, okay, thanks. This isn't going to work. Just saying. That's all. And it's nothing against the guy. I'm just kind of pointing out like what you're going to be looking at as we approach the deadline. Any other big stories that I wanted to touch on tonight? This goes along with the conversation about this goes along with the conversation we were having about the reffing and like the Nyes stick thing. Marner gets free on a short-handed breakaway, is flying in for a chance to like basically be all alone and go in basically on a breakaway. He gets the most held up you could possibly get by Vince Dunn. Now, I think at first it was a good play by Vince Dunn. He gets his stick kind of tangled up with Marner there, like not on Marner's body, on his stick, and is trying to hold him up as he's trying to make a play on the puck and not let him get to it. But then, like, as Marner kicks the puck ahead and is chasing after the puck, Dunn is just continuing to hold on to him via his stick and not let him get free, not let him get any space, and nothing comes of it. And like, okay, that was a wild one there. And then, I mean, the Pacioretty call, it was weak. It is what it is, and I understand why they called it in real time, but it was weak. His stick basically touched Mahura's knee, and Mahura went down. I think Mahura was just falling. I don't think he dove or anything. I think he's just falling. But he goes down, and Pacioretty to the box. And then the high stick on Matthews, you could hear out loud McCabe and Matthews screaming at the ref. And then Matthews goes to the box and is laughing. He didn't even hit Montour. Like, he didn't even hit him. I wanted to just throw those things out there because those were some wild plays that came up to me that I was like, how did we get here? Like, how did these penalties get called or not called or whatever? I know some people will be upset about some of those. I mean, like, obviously you can't blame the refs, and you won this game, so like, what are we going to be mad about? I just wanted to point out some of that stuff as well because I was kind of like in shock at some of the stuff. Another super chat here. Super chat here from Tammy. McMann is a difference maker if he can stay healthy in the playoffs, unlike last season. And Tammy there, of course, with the patented emojis in the chat. Tammy, thank you for the cat and the fish. If you know Tammy, you know why Tammy sent that. Yeah, I mean, losing McMann last year was a big loss. Looking back at that series and what ended up playing out, I know people were not really that happy watching back the documentary and seeing videos of Willie with like his brother and his friend watching the game in his apartment, and like, he's on the dock and he can't play. Maybe it's just because I'm a huge William Nylander fan, but I believe, like, honestly, that guy couldn't have played. I think Nylander's the last guy to, like, say I can't go because I don't want to go. Yeah, it's a bad look, and being on the TV show definitely did not help him at all. But I mean, I think that he was actually hurting there. I feel like he couldn't have gone. You lost him for a while. You lose Matthews all of a sudden out of nowhere, which I'm assuming it was probably the back injury that seems like he was suffering from this year as well. And then you lose Bobby McMann, which is kind of just another story and all of that got swept under the rug, where it was like, it just didn't really get talked about that, like, Bobby McMann ended up missing games. Because then on top of that, you had Joseph Woll out. Now, obviously, you can't bank on health and say, well, what if we were healthy? There's no guarantee that, A, you enter the playoffs in full health this year, and B, you maintain all the way through the first round full health. Sorry, I keep yawning. It's 2 a.m. here. I want to talk about a lot of these things, so I want to keep going, but the yawns are fighting their way through, and I am fighting against the yawns. Anyways, losing Bobby McMann was a significant loss, and more so because I think Bobby McMann is a playoff guy. Like, Bobby McMann is the type of guy who gets things done in those games where things tighten up and are harder to deal with and are harder to match up against. Like, Bobby fights through it. He creates space. He doesn't back down from anyone. That was a big loss, and I think he will be a big difference maker this year if he can stay healthy. We are 17 likes away from 100. By my math, there are at least 103 people watching right now who have not liked the stream. There are people watching. There's 104 now who are watching and have not liked the stream. If you haven't liked the stream, you're sitting around waiting or watching, and you haven't liked it, come on. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. There's a couple things you get out of it. Well, kind of. One being the content we're providing. Maybe the content I'm providing you stinks. It's very possible. In which case, I don't know. You're still watching, so maybe like it's entertaining that I'm not very good. In which case, like the stream. The morning show guys are very good. So, like the stream, like the channel, at least to support them and the work that they do and the guests Nick has and the people they get on the show. Because this is an unbelievable network of Leafs content, Leafs fans in the chat that continue to come here. So make sure to subscribe here as well. And then, on top of that, if you get every set of 50 likes, 50, 100, 150, I do smelling salts. Like, if nothing else convinced you, maybe that will. Hit that like button. A few more things that I want to continue to get to here tonight before we finish this one up. But Tammy, this is off topic from the Leafs. This is also part of the After Dark show and part of the reason why it's the After Dark show. Because there's a lot of shit going on. Tammy says, Zach, I'm only yawning because of wine, and I'm stuck with putting up balloon decorations. So let's do this first. Wine, yeah, fair enough. Second, balloon decorations for what? Why? At 2 a.m., what are we doing putting up balloon decorations? Congrats, I guess, maybe? I'm curious about. We're almost there at 100 likes here, by the way. What else? Sorry, if I've been a little bit sloppy here tonight, I apologize. Thank you guys for watching. Obviously, late one. We're kind of powering through, but just trying to figure out. I want to make sure I touch on all the big topics. Power play goes 1 for 3. It's your second unit who scores. Bobby McMann, obviously, there on that one. Let's do this one quickly because this is the other thing that I had written down. One to kind of at least bring up. Tammy, mom's 60th birthday. Nice. Happy birthday, Mrs. Tammy. Happy birthday, Mrs. Tammy. Worm castings, yes, I did talk about Stolarz. Morgan Rielly was what I wanted to talk about. He obviously makes that pass to Bobby McMann in the slot. We talked about it on Tuesday a bit. I thought Morgan Rielly had a great start to the game. I think in the first period, the second period, he was activating a lot. He was very involved in the offense. He was jumping in and creating chances. I thought he looked pretty good defensively there as well, and was kind of getting himself involved physically a little bit. He made some dumb plays where I was like, oh, come on, that's like a Morgan Rielly play from the beginning of the season when he was struggling a lot, or like the 15 to 25 game mark when he was struggling a lot, where it was really bad and really noticeable. But outside of that, like, Rielly had himself a pretty good game on Tuesday, and it kind of felt like, okay, maybe he's getting comfortable again. Maybe he's getting his groove back. I thought he carried that over to tonight, and I thought that he was building off of it. I thought he looked pretty strong here for this Leafs team tonight. Offensively, yet again, I thought he was engaged. I thought he was moving the puck well. I thought he was transitioning out of the zone. This is a guy I'm kind of excited that's going to be getting a break, because you get a couple of those games in there. If he finishes this one off on Saturday night in Vancouver against the Canucks in his hometown, and he plays well against Vancouver, he can kind of ride off into the sunset, into the break with, like, you know what? I went out strong. And I don't have to sit through the entire break and dwell on the past couple of weeks, months, whatever it is, and how I haven't been playing that well, and sit there and just think about it for the entire 2 weeks of the Four Nations, going, what the hell can I do differently? How can I fix this? I need to get back on the ice. If you walk out of this 4-game stretch, if you're Morgan Rielly, and you've played good hockey, and you've made things happen, and you were competing, and you were part of the offense and putting up some points here, I think you can hold your head high during the 2-week break and kind of get a refreshment, like get refreshed, get reset, come back out after the break, and all of a sudden you're rocking, because your mentals are cleared up, your body's physically recovered a little bit, and you went into the break feeling much, much better than you would have if this break started a week and a half ago. I think Morgan Rielly looked pretty good over the last little while, and I think this break's going to do him good, building off of what he has just done in the last couple of games, as long as he carries this over to Saturday night against the Canucks. Few more things here before we wrap up the show tonight. First and foremost, I've talked about the Four Nations a lot on the show here tonight, and rightfully so. I mean, you guys, it's a massive tournament that's coming up here. Just, if nothing else, other than the fact that it's a break. Nice. That's on me. It's a break from National Hockey League play. Well, the Daily Faceoff crew is hitting the road and going live on location from Four Nations, bringing you exclusive coverage straight from the tournament. From February 10th to 20th, they've got live shows every weekday, breaking down the biggest stories, key matchups, and all the action as it unfolds. So you'll be watching some of the league's best players go head-to-head, representing their countries, battling for international glory in a tournament packed with intensity and high-stakes hockey. Don't miss a second. Subscribe to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel and follow on all social platforms to stay locked in. They'll be bringing you insider analysis, on-the-ground coverage, and maybe even a little chaos. Because let's be real, it's international hockey. Daily Faceoff live on location from Four Nations, February 10th to 20th. So make sure to check that out. Daily Faceoff. The other thing that I want to put out there, if you guys aren't subscribed to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel, I don't know if you guys know, he was in here in the chat the other night. Jeff Merrick joined the Nation Network. Jeff Merrick has his new show on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel, Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. He is a producer and a co-host. That producer and co-host is me. I'm on Jeff's show with him Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. So if you guys want more of me, for whatever reason it may be, Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Head on over there and check it out. We hit 100 likes. I promised it. I will deliver. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. 100 likes. Here's the smelling salts. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's get ourselves tidied up here. Tammy, thank you. Carl, Maricrox, yes, he does. Oh my God. Let's get to our play of the game. Holy, tomorrow's going to be a battle tomorrow morning. And tomorrow night, going to Horseshoe Tavern, downtown Toronto, to watch Small Town Strip Club play as well. So that should be fun. Well, Mike, you don't have to miss Merrick anymore because he's on Daily Face-Off. Anyways, let's get to our play of the game. Play of the game. Let's do this two separate ways. Let's start with this. Play of the game is going to be the Bobby McMann goal. 3 straight games for Bobby getting on the board. I think it's 17 goals on the season now for him. It's also a Morgan Rielly assist that generates that. It's also a power play goal that gets that one through. Like, there's a lot of positives that go into that goal. There's a lot of things there. It's like, you know, it feels like there's a weight of the world off your chest when it comes to the power play and watching them go out there every time now, because I went through 52 games or whatever, 51 games of this season, watching the power play and seeing that they were getting a penalty and going, for fuck's sakes, why do we have to watch this power play? This is a waste of 2 minutes. This is honestly going to give the other team a better opportunity at scoring than us. Like, what are we doing? Why is this happening? The last 3 games have just not been that case anymore. It's gone out the window. I've not been as concerned about, you know, the power play, at least giving up the chances, which was the first step, and now creating the chances is the second. Now, mind you, is the second unit who scored here tonight, but at this point, I don't care. Darren McNeil, PP's been okay. They have been okay, but guess what, Darren? And maybe I'm overhyping it now, and 5 games from now, if they're still performing like this, I'll be like, need to be better. But right now, okay is better than what they were when they were stinking like shit. This power play was so bad for a period of time that watching them go out on the ice was a complete nightmare every time. Felt like they were giving up odd man chances every now and then. It felt like they couldn't get in the zone. It felt like they were handing momentum to the other team. Like, this power play was a mess. You've at least stopped the mess. Now we're starting to see some chances. Now we're starting to see puck movement. Now we're starting to see them play with a purpose. Once you start doing that, good things come. Good things happen. You go on a run like you have over the last week, where all of a sudden you find ways to start scoring goals on your power play. They're figuring it out. Power play goal gets it for me. Separate from this, player of the game is Anthony Stolarz. The guy returns after 2 months, misses 8 weeks. He has a .963 save percentage. He saves 26 shots on 26 saves on 27 shots. He had an unbelievable night. I mean, you battle back. You have all the excuses in the world. Rust, road trip, whatever. Doesn't let it be a problem. Goes out there, fucking professional. The guy is out of his mind, making saves left and right, keeping you in the game in that second period there, which could have easily tied it up or gotten out of control or whatever. Anthony Stolarz looked amazing tonight. He is by far the MVP in this game for me here tonight. Player of the game. Easily. Again, back to the, I want to bring up something else about the Four Nations. And I'm going to kind of pump some of the stuff out there to you guys and remind you as well. But, the other thing that we have coming up during the Four Nations is a super, super cool thing. maybe it's more cool for myself, and selfishly, I'm pumped about it. But you guys know we have a sponsor here on the show, and it's one that's pretty cool for me because it's a spot that I go to a lot, and that would be Greta Bar YYZ. So a couple of things about this, but as we get to our grade of the game segment coming up in a little bit, we'll kind of remind you guys that Greta Bar is a great spot before, during, and after the game. You can check out the great street food menu that they've got there. It's something that I pick up whether I'm just going there for dinner and good food that's pretty reasonably priced, or if I'm already in one at the bar and I'm looking for some food there. They've got unbelievable stuff, and it's a great street food menu that you can order up at the bar that they've got there, or if it's in your seat and you want it brought to you, whatever it is. But make sure to check that out. They've got all the games in the arcade that are rotating through. They're getting new games in there regularly. My favorite games, obviously, every time, Connect 4 basketball, the Pop-A-Shot basketball, or the arcade. The air hockey. No words. 2:05 a.m. No words going on right now. Greta Bar, if it wasn't for the fact that I was here on the stream till 2:05 a.m., I probably would have been at Greta Bar until 2:05 a.m. tonight. And I might be at Greta Bar until 2:05 a.m. tomorrow night, to be completely honest with you guys. Greta Bar is an unbelievable spot, one of my favorite places to go downtown Toronto. Weekly drink specials. Greta Bar is the place to be, 590 King Street West. Greta Bar, let the games begin. The other thing that I want to remind people, if you are in the Toronto area, anywhere in the Toronto area, and you want a watch party or want to go and watch the Canada-US game with people, maybe your friends are busy, or maybe you're just looking for some other people who kind of like hockey the same way you do, or if you want to hang out with myself and Nick Alberga, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if you do want to hang out with myself and Nick Alberga, the 15th of February at Greta Bar, we will be doing a watch party free of entry. You just got to head on over to nationgear.ca and register for your spot now to get in there. T-shirt tosses, giveaways, trivia, all that kind of stuff is going to be going on during the game. We will be watching Canada-USA go head-to-head in the Four Nations face-off at Greta Bar, February 15th. So make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca if you are in the Toronto area to reserve your spot at Greta Bar, February 15th today. Make sure to check that out. It'll be a lot of fun for that watch party. So check that out. Let's get to our final segment here that I'm pumped about because 6 1/3, he's not going to be happy. And that will be our best bet segment presented by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, NATION, all caps, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Tonight's best bet keeps us on a heater here, ladies and gentlemen. We have now won 8 of our last 10. We moved to 21-36 on the season after what was a horrendous stretch from games 35 to games 45. 10-game stretch where we lost every single bet. I think I bet Nylander anytime goal like 7 times in that stretch there. And he stopped scoring for a while. So, yeah, the Nylander stuff, the Nylander goals, they stopped coming. The wins stopped coming for us. But we figured it out here now. We have won 8 of our last 10. We are currently up 7.2 units on the season. We are 21-36 here now. But we are rocking because we got ourselves Bobby McMann over 2.5 shots on goal. Cash is here tonight at plus 170. Plus 170. What a win. And this is a full unit play on Bobby McMann here as well. So that one feels good for us. I mean, the handicap, you guys know it. Bobby McMann, he's much more involved here. He's on a heater. Like, he's going up and down the lineup. He's playing power play, whatever it is, late game situations. Bobby McMann has been an absolute weapon. And I kind of tried to dig back into that here tonight, and it cashed for us. So, pays off. What else we got? Let's go to our final segment of the night here. Let's get to our grades of the game. You guys send yours. I'm curious to see what everyone's got and how you guys feel about this one. I think for me, I'm debating a B minus. Or A minus, or a B plus. A minus or B plus, I think, is the grade on this one tonight. I'll kind of let you guys sway me in a direction. Whatever I'm seeing more, maybe, or like higher or lower, I can get into that range. But A minus, B plus is kind of where I'm at. I think you fell asleep for you know what? A minus. It's an A minus for me. I forget it. A minus. Darren McNeil there says A. Carl says B plus. Maxentius A minus. Wormcastings A. Tammy A plus. Yeah, you know what? The return of Stolarz, 1 for 3 on the power play. Like you hit at a rate of 33% there. You go 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. Like special teams has a night. I get that it's the Kraken. The only reason that I was leaning towards the B plus is because the second period was a little bit messy. I felt like they kind of had to rely on Stolarz, which is nice to have. Your goalie kind of bail you out in a situation like that. But, I mean, look at that second period. That's really the only thing here tonight that I can look at and have any type of complaint about. You open the game strong. You take a 2-0 lead. You score on the power play. You're getting some contributions from a defenseman. You get a contribution from your third line left winger. And then it also stretches out to your goaltender who returns from 2 months off, 8 weeks away from the game, is out of his mind. He finishes the night here tonight with a .963 save percentage. He makes 26 saves. The only goal that he lets in is a point shot that goes through a screen, is a beautifully placed shot that goes bar down. Like, how can you complain about a night like this from the goaltending? And you fell asleep in the second period. Your goalie saved you. He bailed you out. Special teams was really good. And then you closed that thing out with a lucky tip from a guy, or a lucky called good goal that I think was probably not a goal by Matty, who tips that one. Likely a high stick, is what it is. You get away with it. 3-0. Then the 3-1 goal comes, but you lock it down from there. And you give Seattle nothing else. I know who they are. I know where they're at in the standings. But winning a game like that, finding a way to clean this one up and just have no concerns is something teams of old, this Leafs team in years past, just would have had a tough time doing. They would have gone in there, started slow, 0-0, got goalied by Joey Decord, and next thing you know, you lose 2-1. Not the case for this team anymore. Not the case here tonight, and it goes out of here with an A- and a victory for this Leafs team. Unfortunately, too, I wanted a goal for William Nylander. I wanted him to be able to bury because I thought Nylander might, close that gap on Draisaitl. Doesn't happen tonight. He had plenty of chances. He was just off. Maybe he gets back to it on Saturday night. That'll do it for me. I will be back on Saturday night. I appreciate everyone who tuned into the show here. Appreciate everyone who watched. As always, liked, subscribed. There's 150 people who stayed with us right to the end. And I could see most of the analytics here while the show's going on. Most of you guys were here from the start of the show and have been here right to the end. I cannot say I thank you enough. This is literally 2:15 a.m. on a Thursday night. You got Friday tomorrow. Everyone's got work tomorrow. Like, you're battling through, but you stuck here till the very end of the show here with me. Gave your grades, your play of the game, your thoughts on everything else. Thank you guys for the support as always. I will be back here on Saturday for another pregame show and a Leafs Nation After Dark. Thanks as always for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. This being game number 54 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Seattle Kraken here tonight, 3-1, moving to 33-19-2 on the season. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe on your way out. Make sure to watch Leafs Morning Take in the morning. And until Saturday, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.